That was my real laugh. And then I realized, oh, they're laughing at my laugh. And then it became like, all you have to do is do that laugh, and they would laugh. And it was like, oh no. And I really made myself stop laughing. Like, I don't laugh like that anymore.
Eddie Murphy, the comedy legend who revived SNL, smashed box office records, and became the richest black actor of the 1980s. But what if that shining spotlight only showed half the truth? Behind the fame, Eddie was battling demons that few ever knew existed. On stage, he looked untouchable, confident, unstoppable, a king of laughter. But when the cameras turned off, a lonely man was left guarding painful secrets. Rumors once swirled about a late-night scandal that nearly destroyed his career overnight. 10 kids, 5 women, and silent struggles that no paparazzi lens could ever capture. Then came 15 years of mystery. Eddie practically vanished. Hollywood whispered that he was struggling, lost, or worse. Once he had it all: fame, fortune, adoration, an entire industry at his feet. But everything faded into shadow until now.
I want to be 65. I'm only 64. 65 is on my bucket list.
At 64, Eddie Murphy is finally ready to speak his truth. Get ready, because what you thought you knew about Eddie Murphy might be one of Hollywood's biggest illusions. His story begins in Brooklyn, New York, born April 3rd, 1961, a neighborhood where laughter and chaos live side by side. As a kid, Eddie never had a simple path to happiness. He once said, "None of us got to grow up whole." His father, Charles Edward Murphy, a cop and part-time comedian, taught Eddie how to turn pain into jokes. But tragedy struck early. When Eddie was just 8, his father died in a violent dispute.
The strangest thing someone's ever said to me once, I was coming out of a hotel once, and somebody said that the doorman at the hotel came up and said, "Hey man, that laugh that you had, is that real or was that computers?"
Not computers? CGI laughter.
Was that real or was that computers?
How do you answer that?
I did not. I just looked and just walked away.
His family tried to protect him from the harsh truth, but Eddie understood only one thing: he had to find his own reason to smile. Soon after, his mother fell seriously ill, and Eddie and his brother Charlie were placed in foster care. 9 months away felt like a lifetime, the kind of pain that shapes a legend. Charlie Murphy wasn't just Eddie's big brother, he was his protector, mentor, and personal bodyguard. He'd throw hands with anyone who tried to mess with Eddie. Eddie once got emotional saying, "Charlie is the reason I'm still here." Charlie was that first shield guarding a young genius from a rough world. After their mother remarried Vernon Lynch Sr., life took a new turn. The family moved to Roosevelt, New York, where Eddie grew up under one roof with his mom, stepdad, and brother. Even as a kid, Eddie stood out. He'd crack jokes, mimic people, and put on little skits that made everyone laugh. That spark, born in tough times, planted the dream that would turn him into a legend. Fate had wild plans for that boy. From foster care to Hollywood royalty, Eddie's rise was like something out of a movie.
Run! Police!
Just a minute!
In 1980, at just 19, he landed a spot on Saturday Night Live, the biggest comedy stage in America. But it wasn't all applause and laughter. SNL was in deep trouble. Ratings were sinking, audiences were bailing, and NBC was ready to pull the plug. Then Eddie stepped in, confident, sharp, and hilarious. From his very first episode, everyone backstage could feel it. This kid had something different. His voice, his timing, that magnetic energy, he was unstoppable. Soon, his characters became instant hits. Fans went crazy for Mr. Robinson, the streetwise parody that flipped a kid's show on its head, and for Gumby, the loud, cranky puppet who didn't hold back.
It was old. I got on that show when I was 19 years old. Yeah, so I went back and I saw all these people from...
People said Eddie didn't just save SNL, he revived it. But fame comes with shadows. Some in the cast started feeling threatened. Inside the show, tension grew and whispers spread. The brighter Eddie's star shined, the more jealousy followed, especially from castmates like Joe Piscopo, who couldn't stand how the spotlight kept finding Eddie. Whispers started circling the SNL halls. He came here and took the whole show. Jealousy was thick in the air. The tension finally exploded in 1982 during a staff meeting that would go down in SNL history. Eddie stood his ground, nervous voice, steady eyes, and said, "Without me, SNL would be dead." It sounded bold, even harsh, but deep down, everyone knew he wasn't lying. That was the moment Eddie Murphy proved his power. By 1984, at only 23, Eddie quietly walked away from SNL. No farewell, no announcement. Just one short note: did not renew contract. Some thought it was the end, but Eddie saw it as a beginning. He wasn't falling off, he was leveling up. The small stage of late-night TV couldn't contain him anymore. He was aiming for Hollywood domination. Before leaving, he had already made his big-screen debut in 48 Hours, 1982, playing Reggie Hammond, a slick-talking criminal forced to work with a tough cop played by Nick Nolte. The movie blew up, earning nearly $79 million and turning Eddie into Hollywood's newest sensation. Critics loved him, fans adored him, and studios took notice. Then came Trading Places, 1983, where Eddie played Billy Ray Valentine, a homeless hustler tossed into the world of the rich in a twisted social experiment. Through comedy, Eddie dropped real truth, showing how money controls status in America. The film made over $90 million across the US and Canada, proving Eddie wasn't just funny, he was powerful.
Thank you for being with us tonight, Mr. Brown.
That success earned him a massive 5-film deal with Paramount Pictures, a move that showed Hollywood was now revolving around him, and in 1984, Eddie reached superstardom with Beverly Hills Cop. As Axel Foley, the smooth-talking detective from Detroit, Eddie became a worldwide icon. The movie stayed in theaters for over 20 weeks and raked in around $316 million.
I see you look at this piece.
Yeah, I was wondering how much something like this went for.
$130,000. Get the f out of here! No, I cannot. It's serious because it's very important piece.
Have you ever sold one of these?
Sold it yesterday to a collector. Get the f out of here! It's serious, I said it myself.
Pure domination. With just a $15 million budget, Beverly Hills Cop made over 20 times its cost, a record-breaking hit that shattered barriers in Hollywood. Eddie Murphy didn't just star in a blockbuster, he rewrote the rules. For the first time, a black actor wasn't just in the spotlight, he owned it. Eddie became a one-man goldmine, the heartbeat of every studio that wanted a guaranteed hit. It was officially the Eddie Murphy era.
Are you offended by the word nigga?
Why? Where'd that come from?
Fame, fortune, and power like Hollywood had never seen before. But when the crown shines too bright, shadows start to follow. One wrong step, and even the biggest star can fall hard. That moment came one night in Beverly Hills, when Eddie's name suddenly became the center of a massive scandal.
No, I was sitting in Memphis like this. I like that, Kevin, boy. You see him say nigga right in front of me? I like it. Nigger sitting 2 inches away. He's just looking in the eye.
On a rainy night in 1997, police stopped Eddie's Toyota Land Cruiser after noticing it pull over on a quiet street. Inside was a transgender woman named Addis Shalimar. Officers questioned her and discovered she had a warrant related to other activity. Eddie was briefly questioned and released. He hadn't broken any laws, but within hours, the story exploded across every tabloid. Headlines screamed, "Eddie Murphy caught with transgender escort at 4 a.m. Overnight, the media turned him from a comedy hero into their newest target. Eddie insisted, "I just stopped to help because she looked like she needed it. I didn't do anything wrong." But the truth didn't matter. What mattered was the scandal. In less than 2 days, late-night shows were mocking him, reporters were circling, and Eddie's image was under attack. The man who made millions laugh was now being laughed at. It was one of the hardest lessons of his life. In Hollywood, one photo can erase years of work. Not long after, Shalimar passed away in what police called an accident, but whispers claimed there was more to the story. Secrets, pressure, and danger swirling beneath the surface. That night marked the beginning of Eddie Murphy's darkest storm. Rumors hit Hollywood like wildfire. Whispers about hidden parties, secret circles, and exclusive gatherings where only the powerful got invited. Some claimed Eddie was part of a tight inner circle in black showbiz, surrounded by luxury and temptation. Nobody really knew what was true, but one thing's certain. In Hollywood, rumors can destroy faster than the truth can defend you. Eddie's image was cracking, but the pain ran deeper than headlines.
Was that computers? He asked me was a computer. I didn't even know what to say. I feel like I'm still standing there. He said it all like sotto voce, you know, like, hey, just between you and me. Is that done with computers? It was like, I don't even know how to answer that.
In one interview, he opened up quietly saying, "I was so lonely I would trade anything just to feel loved." The man who made the whole world laugh couldn't find someone who genuinely smiled at him. But that heartbreak was only the start of what would become chaos in his personal life. Soon, the box office king turned into the headline king. Not for movies, but for his love life. Eddie became a father to 10 children with 5 women, and every relationship told its own story. His first child, Eric Murphy, was born in 1989 during Eddie's career peak. Eric's mom, Paulette McNeely, stayed out of the spotlight, keeping their relationship extremely private. Eddie acknowledged his son, but the romance faded fast, another emotional scar behind the fame. A year later, in 1990, Eddie welcomed another son, Christian Murphy, with Tamara Hood. That relationship, too, came and went like a passing storm, leaving another piece of Eddie's personal life scattered behind him, 2 children, 2 mothers, and a growing reputation that Hollywood couldn't stop talking about. Then came the woman who changed everything, Nicole Mitchell, a gorgeous model who met Eddie in 1988 and quickly won his heart. For once, it looked like he had found peace. In 1993, they married in a glamorous wedding at the New York Plaza Hotel, cameras flashing, the world cheering. For 13 years, Eddie believed he'd finally built a real home, a love story strong enough to calm the chaos. Eddie and Nicole built a big, beautiful family together. 5 kids who carried both their parents' charm and talent. Bria, born in 1989, followed her dad's path into acting and modeling. Then came Miles in 1992, Shane Audra in 1994, Zola Ivy in 1999, and Bella Zara in 2002. On the outside, life looked perfect. A thriving career, a happy home, and the image of a Hollywood dream family. But behind the smiles, the cracks were growing fast. Hollywood's spotlight brings fame and temptation. Rumors of Eddie's wild nights and infidelity slowly drained Nicole's strength. After 13 years of marriage, in 2005, she filed for divorce, ending what many thought was Eddie's forever love. Nicole reportedly received $15 million in a one-time settlement, and Eddie told the media, "The best care for our children is always my top priority." But soon, that very money led to disaster. A so-called friend named Troy Stratos tricked Nicole into investing in fake oil projects overseas. He stole millions, not just from her, but from others too. In 2016, Stratos was sentenced to 22 years in prison for fraud. Nicole later said, "He has no remorse. He only regrets getting caught." A woman who once lived a fairy tale Hollywood life was now facing heartbreak and betrayal. Then came another twist. Mel B, better known as Scary Spice from the legendary Spice Girls. Their romance burned fast and fierce, but when Mel announced she was pregnant, everything went public in an instant. Eddie shocked everyone when he said on live TV, "I don't know whose child that is until a DNA test proves it." Fans were stunned, and Mel was devastated. In April 2007, on Eddie's own birthday, Mel gave birth to baby Angel Iris Murphy Brown. When the DNA results came back, Angel was confirmed as Eddie's daughter. The headlines exploded. Scary Spice versus Comedy King. Though Eddie later accepted responsibility and supported his daughter, the damage to his image was already done. Another storm in the life of a man who once ruled Hollywood. Tracy Edmonds, the 2-week marriage that left everyone talking. In late 2006, Eddie started dating Tracy, a talented film producer with her own success story. By early 2008, the couple held a private ceremony in beautiful Bora Bora, a paradise setting for what looked like a new beginning. But even paradise couldn't save it. Just 2 weeks later, it all fell apart. The marriage was declared legally invalid, leaving behind no kids, no commitment. Just more whispers asking, can Eddie Murphy ever truly stay in love? Then came a turning point. Paige Butcher. In 2012, Eddie met the quiet Australian model who seemed to bring peace to his chaotic life. Paige lived low-key, far away from the Hollywood noise. No scandals, no drama, no headlines, just calm. Together, they welcomed 2 children, Izzy Una Murphy in 2016 and Max Charles Murphy in 2018, named after Eddie's late brother, Charlie Murphy. For once, Eddie found something real, a family that kept him grounded. In total, Eddie Murphy has 10 children with 5 different mothers, a legacy as colorful as his career. Looking back, people saw 2 sides of him, the superstar who conquered the big screen and the man who kept losing it love. Eddie once admitted, "Kids give me a reason to exist. Maybe it's not fame or fortune, but those 10 little lives that truly keep him going." But just when it seemed like he'd found peace, the real storm hit. This time in his career. In Hollywood, when your personal life cracks, your professional world often crumbles right behind it. That collapse came in the form of The Adventures of Pluto Nash in 2002, a sci-fi comedy with a $100 million budget and sky-high expectations. Yet when it finally hit theaters, the results were a disaster. A box office explosion that nearly buried Eddie Murphy's golden era for good. The Adventures of Pluto Nash didn't just flop, it crashed. With a massive $100 million budget, the movie only pulled in around $7.1 million worldwide. That wasn't just bad, it was a full-blown box office catastrophe. Eddie, once the man who could pack theaters with just his name, now faced rows of empty seats and brutal reviews. Critics tore the film apart, calling it one of the biggest flops in Hollywood history. For the first time, people started asking the question no one ever thought possible. Had Eddie Murphy lost his magic? The damage went beyond embarrassment. Studio heads who once trusted him with any budget now saw him as a risk. His golden reputation was slipping, and his throne in Hollywood seemed to crumble beneath him. But just when it looked like the end, a spark of redemption appeared. Dreamgirls. In 2006, Eddie took on the role of James Thunder Early, a fiery, emotional soul singer, and completely reinvented himself. Gone was the goofy comedian. In his place stood a serious actor with real depth and raw emotion. Audiences were stunned, critics praised his performance, and for the first time, Eddie earned an Oscar nomination. It was supposed to be his big comeback, proof that he was more than just a funny man, but fate had other plans. Right before the 2007 Oscars, Eddie made a move that would cost him dearly. He released Norbit, a wild, over-the-top comedy where he played multiple characters, including a loud, aggressive wife. The humor was old school and controversial, clashing hard with the serious, elegant image of Oscar season. Instead of praise, Eddie got backlash, and his shot at cinematic redemption vanished overnight. Audiences didn't just roll their eyes at Norbit, they were furious. Critics blasted it as tasteless and offensive, calling it one of the worst comedies ever made. The backlash was brutal. The film got hit with a wave of Golden Raspberry Razzie nominations, Worst Picture, Worst Actor, Worst Actress, Worst Supporting Actor, and almost all of them were aimed straight at Eddie since he played nearly every character. The press dubbed it the Norbit effect, saying it destroyed his chance at a serious comeback. But this wasn't just a bad review, it marked the start of a painful fall. One flop turned into another, and by 2010, the Razzies named Eddie Worst Actor of the Decade. It was a harsh blow for a man who once ruled comedy. The same superstar who packed theaters and made millions laugh was now treated like a punchline. The hits to his ego ran deeper than career trouble. They cut right into his pride and self-belief. Years later, Eddie tried to laugh it off, saying in an interview, "I still think Norbit had funny moments, they just hate me." It sounded defiant, but behind that line was a man who knew how much he'd lost. His reputation, his confidence, and the respect that once followed his name everywhere. So Eddie did something shocking. He disappeared. No red carpets, no interviews, no new blockbusters. He turned off his phone and stepped away from the spotlight completely. The once unstoppable king of comedy faded into silence, leaving behind a trail of headlines and heartbreak. And just when people thought his story couldn't get sadder, tragedy struck again. The loss of his brother, Charlie Murphy. Charlie wasn't just family, he was Eddie's rock. The one who shared every struggle, every memory from their rough Brooklyn childhood to Hollywood stardom. They survived pain together, and through it all, Charlie had always been Eddie's shield since day one. After serving time in the military, Charlie Murphy stepped into comedy with fearless energy, and he made sure the world knew he wasn't living in Eddie's shadow. Charlie built his own lane with sharp, bold humor and unforgettable moments on Chappelle's show, especially his legendary sketches about Rick James and Prince. Even as their careers went separate ways, Eddie always said, "Charlie was my protector." But life had its cruel twist. Charlie was diagnosed with leukemia, yet he refused to stop performing. He kept making people laugh even as his strength faded. On April 12, 2017, Charlie passed away in a New York hospital, leaving behind 3 children and a brother completely heartbroken. Eddie later said, "You have your dad and your big brother. Those are your protectors." For him, losing Charlie wasn't just grief. It was losing the one person who truly understood him. Hollywood had already beaten Eddie down with scandals and bad press, but Charlie's death shattered him completely. Still, in that pain came clarity. Eddie stepped back from the noise and changed his path. He stopped chasing big, flashy projects and started focusing on what mattered. Meaningful work and family. It was exactly what Charlie would have wanted. Hey, people thought Eddie Murphy was finished, but talent like his doesn't disappear. It just waits for the right moment to strike back. That comeback came in 2019 with Dolomite Is My Name. No huge budget, no explosions, just Eddie pouring his soul into the story of Rudy Ray Moore, a forgotten comedy legend. It was funny, raw, and full of heart. The real Eddie Murphy shining again. Critics cheered, Rotten Tomatoes scores soared, and Eddie earned a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor. He didn't just make people laugh, he made them respect him again. The fire never died, and with Coming to America in 2021, Eddie proved he still runs Hollywood, one comeback at a time. Hollywood claimed Eddie Murphy's comeback was just luck, but he fired back in style with Coming to America in 2021. Critics waited to tear him down and bloggers lined up to watch him fail. Instead, Eddie flipped the script. The movie shot straight to the top of global streaming charts, proving one undeniable truth: Eddie Murphy's name still moves millions. The jokes, the charm, the presence, it all reminded the world why he's a living legend. Then came the next explosion. Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. 40 years after Eddie first blew up as the street-smart detective Axel Foley, Hollywood doubted him again. He's too old, they said. Eddie didn't argue. He got to work. Released in 2024 on Netflix, the movie brought Axel's swagger and quick wit back to life, updated for a new generation. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was a rebirth. The film became a global hit, marking Eddie's second coronation as Hollywood royalty. This time, Eddie played the game differently. No risky box office bets. He teamed up with Netflix, the streaming giant that Hollywood secretly fears. With Beverly Hills Cop 4 produced and released worldwide by Netflix, Eddie became one of the platform's biggest stars, a cornerstone of its new strategy. The same industry that once pushed him out was now chasing after him again. But Eddie isn't stopping at movies. Known as one of the greatest stand-up comedians of all time, he changed the art of storytelling on stage. Yet he hasn't done a live special in nearly 30 years. When Netflix announced a $70 million deal for his return to stand-up, Hollywood was stunned. No explosions, no fancy effects, just Eddie, a mic, and raw talent ready to take over again. Every time they count him out, he comes back stronger. Every time they laugh at his downfall, he turns it into victory. At 64, Eddie Murphy isn't just returning, he's reclaiming his throne as the true king of comedy. Eddie Murphy once shocked everyone when he said, "I hate the way I look on screen." For years, people thought he vanished because he got older or lost his spark. But the truth ran deeper. Eddie disappeared because he couldn't stand himself anymore. On Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, he admitted, "I was like, this isn't funny. I was sick of being funny." The man who made the world laugh had grown tired of pretending. He wasn't just bored, he felt trapped. The more Hollywood celebrated him, the more he felt like a product, not a person. That pressure twisted into self-hate. In a 2011 GQ interview, Eddie confessed, "I'm not that guy. I'm not the dude in the movies." He wasn't the clown that studios wanted him to be, but the world had mistaken that act for his real self. In another interview, he said, "If you stay at the top all the time, you become a freak, a circus act." That's how Eddie saw himself. A man turned into a spectacle. Watching close friends like Michael Jackson get consumed by fame, Eddie warned himself, "Don't let that happen to you." He had to make a choice, live truthfully or die playing someone else's script. So he walked away. On CBS Sunday Morning, he explained, "Fame is not a life, it's just part of life." That was his awakening, his decision to live real. He returned home, focused on being a dad, sharing dinners with his 10 kids, building the kind of family he never had growing up. Now, when Eddie Murphy steps back into the spotlight, it's on his terms. This isn't a comeback for attention, it's a declaration of freedom. I still got it, and now I control it. No studio owns him anymore. No director can box him in. Eddie Murphy isn't chasing Hollywood's dream. He's finally living his own. Eddie Murphy's return marks the rise of real artistry, the legacy of a legend reborn. Before Eddie, Hollywood didn't know what to do with black comedians who wanted more than jokes and stereotypes. But Eddie changed the game. He wasn't just funny, he was fearless. He made the world laugh while refusing to be boxed in as just another funny black guy. He proved he could bring drama, emotion, and truth, showing the world what real range looks like. Eddie didn't just build a career, he built a path. Before him, few black actors led blockbuster films. After him, an entire generation rose with confidence. Kevin Hart, Chris Rock, and Dave Chappelle all call him king. Eddie showed that a kid from foster care in Brooklyn could rise to global fame, not through luck or Hollywood favors, but by breaking every rule they tried to trap him with. People think success is magic, but Eddie knows the truth. Real magic is climbing back after the fall, standing tall when the world counted you out. His story isn't just about movies, it's about power, pain, and resilience. Eddie Murphy proved that legends don't fade, they evolve. Do you love Eddie Murphy's journey? Drop your thoughts below and tell us what you think about his epic rise and redemption. Hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe because the next stories we uncover will be even more shocking. See you on the next one.